It is day 5 of our Lake Superior adventure, and having weathered a somewhat bumpy ride from Grand Portage, we've reached our destination, Isle Royale National Park. One of the first attractions you'll see when entering Washington Harbor is the wreck of the SS America. In 1928, the America accidentally clipped a reef while departing the harbor, and slowly sank. All crew and passengers survived, and is now one of the most popular dive sites on the island. The bow of the wreck sits in only 2 feet of water. The fog was lifting as we made our way up the harbor toward Windigo, and we retreated to some amazing fjord-like scenery. The dock in Windigo is free to tie up to so long as you don't block the ferry, and with the breeze blowing us away from the dock, we were happy for the help of some friendly rangers. Shortly after our arrival, we saw another good-looking boat pull up to the dock. We were all surprised to see 2 Ranger tugs in this remote place. Windigo is one of 2 main ports of entry into Isle Royale. It features a nice visitor center, a camp store, campsites and showers, as well as fuel for private boats. We paid our permit fees, shared our itinerary with the park ranger, and then set off to explore. The area was busier than we expected, with campers coming and going, picnickers, sunbathers, and a seaplane moving passengers to and from the mainland. The new camp store was well on its way to being completed, and the park rangers were busy with maintenance of the area. There's a 1-mile nature trail starting just up the hill from the visitor center that will take you through hardwood forests as well as fern-filled brush. One interesting section is a moose exclosure dating back to 1979, built to observe what impact the moose have on the land. You can clearly see, compared to the surrounding vegetation, that when these trees are allowed to grow untouched, the landscape looks much different. Brush growth on the ground. The trees have really blocked out all the light. $3.50. The morning started off with light rain and fog. As we were exiting Washington Harbor, we caught our first glimpse of Voyager II through the mist, arriving from Grand Portage, Minnesota, and inbound to Windigo. We would see her again as the Voyager II circles Isle Royale over the course of 2 days, moving hikers from dock to dock throughout the island. Chippewa Harbor was our destination for the day, but a quick stop in Malone Bay seemed like a good idea to stretch our legs. This is Malone Bay, and we're doing the Siskiwit Lake hike. Lots of mosquitoes. After lunch and a quick 10-mile cruise, we arrived at the entrance of Chippewa Harbor. The channel is narrow and not marked by buoys, so it's best to stay well clear of the rocks. We found the navigation charts to be accurate, but it's still a good idea to have a look out on the bow, especially if you have a deep draft or limited visibility from the helm. For pleasure boaters like us, Chippewa Harbor is probably the most popular destination on Isle Royale. There are 2 long basins with plenty of space for anchoring, and excellent protection from the weather. Wildlife is abundant in this area. We enjoyed watching the red merganser chicks scurry around and compete for a ride on Mom's back. We even saw a beaver in the distance. With the sunset fading and the mosquitoes about to force us inside, Morgan whispered for my attention. There was a moose. The next morning, we set course for Rock Harbor, about 13 miles away. Rock Harbor is the main hub for visitors on the island, offering access to the mainland by numerous ferries and seaplanes. Lodging is available for those who don't want to sleep in a tent, and there are boat rentals and fishing charters offered as well. We were glad for the opportunity to refill our water, pump out the tank, and grab a meal at a cafe. Looking like something out of the Mad Max films, the Voyager II arrived shortly after us and docked for the night. However, we weren't here to bask in the lap of luxury, so we donned our hiking boots and set off down another trail. We're doing the Susie Cave Loop Trail. It's almost 4 miles round trip. We'll see how far we get. What do you think about that, Willow? As long as snacks are involved, we're happy. We were just discussing how this must be like a celebrity cruise for Willow. She doesn't have to do much. She's adored wherever she goes. People wave at her. She gets carried wherever we need to go. Meals are prepared on time every day. If she drops something, somebody else picks it up. I mean, life doesn't get a whole lot better than this. It's a real shame she's not going to remember any of it. There is video evidence. Willow, if you're watching this and we're old and frail, remember we literally schlepped you on our backs for miles. Cross country. Uphill both ways. Least you can do is wipe my butt. Thanks, love you. What do you think, Willow? Pretty cool.
Yeah.
next morning started with a backtrack to the Daisy Farm dock. Daisy Farm is the largest campground on Isle Royale with 25 sites and 16 shelters.
Red-breasted merganser.
Look at you, you're doing it.
After a quick walk around the campground, and having taken care of the important business of rock throwing, we hopped in the dinghy and crossed the harbor to the Edison fishery. The fish camp is now an interpretive center, demonstrating what life was like for commercial fishing families on the island dating back to the early 1900s. The Edison fishery was in operation from 1910 to 1975 and is presently maintained and inhabited on site by volunteers. The volunteer we talked to has been doing this for over 20 years. A short hike up the adjacent trail leads you to the Rock Harbor Lighthouse, which was decommissioned in 1879, but has been extensively restored and hosts a small museum inside. It was getting well past nap time though, so it was time to head back to the boat.
Can you smile? No.
Underway again, we passed Rock Harbor one last time and got a better look at the lodging available there. This day would take us around the northern tip of Isle Royale, through the Amygdaloid Channel, and onto our anchorage at McCargo Cove. The story of how McCargo Cove got its name is pretty amazing. It was the War of 1812. British Captain Robert McCargo needed to hide his 90-ton schooner, named Recovery, to avoid capture by the Americans. Thanks to the knowledge and aid of the local Ojibwe, they navigated the ship through the narrow entrance, removed the masts and rigging, and hid the ship under tree branches and brush until the war was over. Considering that the entrance to the cove is still a little tricky to this day, it's amazing to imagine a large, unmotorized vessel being squeezed back there. Isle Royale has a long history of copper mining, dating back 4,500 years when Native Americans dug large pits to extract the metal. A short hike will take you to the Minong Mine, where you will find an old mine shaft, piles of tailings, and abandoned equipment from a more modern mining effort, which was abandoned in 1885. Heading southwest out of McCargo Cove, there aren't many more accessible stops by boat, so we pushed up the power to make time back to Windigo. It was only a short overnight stay in Windigo before we pushed off the dock one last time. With the final goodbye wave to Voyager II, Isle Royale disappeared into the fog. We were on our way for the last chapter of our Lake Superior adventure, the Apostle Islands.